At 3:14 local time, the 5-meter LDUUV Razorback glides 60 meters below the surface of the Strait of Hormuz. It glides along the seabed silt, ignoring the ship hulls above to locate a single physical priority: an armored fiber-optic cable no thicker than a human wrist. Above the surface, Iran's outpost on Abu Musa Island stands as a fortress of immense kinetic power, armed with Noor and Qatar supersonic anti-ship missiles. Yet, these assets are meaningless without the real-time over-the-horizon radar coordinates pulsing through this subsea line. The IRGC has engineered this glass lifeline with professional foresight, burying it 2 meters beneath the sand, encased in triple-layered reinforced steel and monitored by OTDR sensors designed to trigger a red line alarm within a single second of a breach. However, in the 21st century, an empire's strength is no longer measured by the bore of a 155mm cannon. It is found in the pulses of light running through the black mud. Facing a heavyweight boxer armored to the teeth, the United States does not choose to throw expensive punches. Instead, they dive into the abyss to sever the giant's optic nerve moments before the battle begins. 60 meters below the surface, the Persian Gulf is stratified by aggressive thermoclines, layers of varying temperature and salinity that act as a refractive prism for sound. Even the Razorback's electromagnetic motor, engineered for near-total silence, remains a physical entity governed by the laws of pressure. As the submersible maneuvers, a minute pressure ripple from its counter-rotating propellers strikes a dense thermal boundary, reflecting a faint but distinct acoustic pulse into the dark. 3 nautical miles to the east, this signature enters the jurisdiction of an Iranian Ghadir-class midget submarine, a predator specifically designed to turn the cluttered, shallow waters of the strait into a graveyard. The Iranian sonar technicians are not merely observers. They are specialists trained to filter through the roar of surface tankers to isolate the rhythmic 60 Hz hum characteristic of American naval hardware. When the anomaly registers, the response is clinical. The Ghadir captain avoids a sudden engine start that would betray his position, instead ordering a manual ballast adjustment to lift the 120-ton hull silently off the seafloor. The transition from detection to kinetic engagement is marked by the sharp, underwater snap of a 533mm torpedo tube opening. A Valfager heavyweight torpedo is ejected into the abyss. Its water-jet propulsion system ignites, slicing through the seawater at a relentless 50 knots. In this initial phase, the weapon is wire-guided, physically tethered to the Ghadir's fire control computer to ignore environmental clutter and decoys. The hunter has awakened, and the Razorback is no longer a ghost. It is a coordinate. Inside the Razorback's tactical processor, a red line alert registers. Closure velocity is 90 kilometers per hour, with an estimated time to impact of exactly 42 seconds. In traditional naval warfare, this window represents a death sentence. The LDUUV, limited by its endurance-focused propulsion to a mere 5 knots, cannot outrun or outmaneuver a kinetic interceptor designed to kill multi-billion-dollar destroyers. However, the U.S. Navy does not attempt to solve geometric problems with sheer speed. It solves them with the clinical application of signal algebra. Instead of a desperate evasion maneuver, the Razorback initiates a subsurface counter-launch. From its secondary payload bay, it ejects a 10-kilogram polycomposite cylinder, the Mk-39 EMAT expendable mobile ASW training target. This device is not a passive decoy. It is an active variable designed to overwrite the enemy's sensory reality. The EMAT immediately ignites its own microelectric motor, pitching upward at a sharp 45-degree divergent vector away from the Razorback. As it swims, its high-fidelity acoustic transducers begin a massive digital broadcast across the entire frequency spectrum. This is the SNR trap, a calculated exploitation of the signal-to-noise ratio. The EMAT does not simply generate noise, it manifests an acoustic ghost. It broadcasts the precise multispectral signature of a 100,000-ton Nimitz-class supercarrier. The air-filled cylinder vibrates with the rhythmic, low-frequency throb of 4 massive brass shafts and the high-pitched cavitation hiss of a nuclear-powered strike group. For the Valfager's AI-driven seeker head, the battlefield has suddenly undergone a catastrophic transformation. Its logic gates are forced to compare 2 competing signals. Signal A: the faint, nearly invisible 60 Hz hum of the Razorback. Signal B: an artificial hurricane of sound that matches every tactical parameter of a high-value American capital ship. The torpedo's internal calculus reaches a terminal conclusion. Mathematically, the AI cannot ignore a target of such immense strategic magnitude. To prevent the Ghadir submarine from accidentally interfering with this perfect lock, the Valphasure software triggers an automatic wire cut protocol. It severs the fiber optic tether to its mothership and enters autonomous active homing mode. The torpedo enters a death sprint, diverting 100% of its energy into a terminal chase, slamming into a subsea limestone cliff at Mach 0.08. The detonation of 250 kilograms of high explosives creates an instantaneous steam void beneath the waves. The resulting shockwave is so violent that it doesn't just hit the local environment, it saturates it, effectively blinding every sonar array within a 10-mile radius with a wall of white noise. 3 nautical miles away, the crew of the Iranian Ghadir erupts in victory cheers as their displays show a massive thermal bloom. They believe they have just achieved a historic kill, unaware that they have merely vaporized a plastic tube, while the true threat remains inches from their throat, shielded by the very chaos they just unleashed. The celebration inside the Iranian Ghadir-class submarine expires in less than 5 seconds. Acoustic signature is a mismatch, Captain. The sonar chief reports, his eyes locked on the spectral decay. We have the high-order detonation, but 0 secondary structural collapses. No reactor breaches, no twisting steel. We hit a decoy. The Iranian commander instantly pivots. Abandoning the safety of silence, he commits to a tactical trade-off, trading stealth for detection. Switch to active sonar, maximum intensity. Find the ghost. A high-intensity acoustic pulse, a concentrated wave of sonic energy blasts into the abyss. At 60 meters, there is nowhere to hide. The sound wave slams into the titanium frame of the LDUUV Razorback, reflecting a razor-sharp silhouette back to the Ghadir's displays. The Phantom is gone. The real target is now a confirmed coordinate. The Ghadir transmits a high-frequency acoustic data link burst, breaking the surface to be instantly acquired by the Revolutionary Guard's surface patrol. The counterattack from above is immediate. 3 PACAP-3 fast attack craft, their diesel engines redlining at 52 knots, converge on the GPS marker. They bypass complex targeting, relying on the raw physics of the kinetic barrage. They deploy a continuous carpet of depth charges, heavy steel canisters designed to turn the water column into a high-pressure hammer. Beneath the waves, the Razorback is trapped in a hydrostatic cauldron. In the incompressible medium of the ocean, the depth-charged shockwaves travel at 1,500 meters per second, carrying the full weight of the blast overpressure directly into the LDUUV's pressure hull. The first salvo detonates 300 feet above. The LDUUV isn't struck by shrapnel. It is assaulted by a succession of 4,000 psi pressure spikes that attempt to flatten its internal compartments. Systems begin to fail. A massive shockwave shears a primary hydraulic seal on the manipulator arm. Brilliant red hydraulic fluid begins to bleed into the dark water, a terminal diagnostic flashing on remote monitors thousands of miles away. The unit's propulsion system, overloaded by the churning turbulence, suffers a catastrophic electrical surge and burns out. Violently tossed by the shifting currents of the explosions, the Razorback loses its attitude control. It spirals downward through the silt, slamming into the seafloor and burying its bow deep into the black mud. The machine lies paralyzed, its processors cycling through a frantic series of reboots as the surface above continues to burn with the fury of the IRGC patrol. It is dead in the water, buried in the abyss, and exactly 4 meters away from the fiber-optic lifeline it was sent to destroy. High above the salt spray and the diesel fumes of the PACAP-3 patrol, a MH-60R Seahawks helicopter maintains a predatory orbit at 5,000 feet. The crew is not looking through the cockpit glass. They are staring at high-resolution waterfall displays fed by the AN/AAS-44C FLIR, forward-looking infrared array. In the pitch-black night, the infrared spectrum reveals a stark, high-contrast reality. The 3 Iranian fast-attack craft appear as white-hot thermal blooms against the cold, dark gray canvas of the Gulf. The Seahawks tactical coordinator locks the fire control system onto the lead PACAP-3. There is no radio warning, no escalation of force. The U.S. Navy is no longer in the business of deterrence. They are in the business of kinetic enforcement. 2 AGM-114 Hellfire missiles detach from the portside pylon. The solid-fuel rocket motors ignite, propelling the laser-guided seekers through the cloud layer at Mach 1.3. The impact is surgical. The first Hellfire strikes the engine compartment of the lead boat, instantly detonating the fuel vapor and vaporizing the fiberglass hull in a massive thermal spike. The 2 remaining PACAPs, realizing they are under aerial execution, break formation in a desperate 5-2. not survival dance, dumping smoke and weaving violently to evade the laser designators. Their depth charge run is abandoned. The immediate kinetic threat to the seabed is neutralized. But for the U.S. Navy, the surface violence is merely a functional byproduct. The real weapon is the noise. Underwater, the environment undergoes a catastrophic transformation. The scream of the Seahawks turbines, the supersonic crack of the Hellfire impacts, and the thundering collapse of the sinking paycap hull create a state of acoustic masking. To the sonar operators aboard the Iranian Ghadir submarine, the ocean has suddenly turned into a wall of white noise. The discrete acoustic signature of the LDUUV Razorback, the very coordinate they were hunting, is completely drowned out by the hydrostatic chaos of the surface battle. This 30-second window of acoustic blindness is the only margin the Razorback's AI requires. Redlining its remaining electric motor to overcome the weight of the silt, the LDUUV surges forward the final 4 meters. Its primary manipulator arm, though compromised by a leaking hydraulic seal, extends to seize the armored fiber-optic lifeline. The machine does not attempt to cut the cable. Instead, it applies the final clinical variable, microbending. Its manipulator arm seizes the galvanized steel jacket, applying a regulated, constant pressure of 4,200 pounds per square inches. This force is precisely calculated to deform the physical geometry of the cable without snapping the high-tensile steel armor. Beneath the steel, the core fiber-optic glass is subjected to microaxial displacement. The physics of the data link collapse instantly. The deformation of the glass core breaks the principle of total internal reflection, causing the pulses of light, the targeting coordinates for the Noor missiles, to leak out into the dark water. On the command monitors of Abu Musa Island, the high-resolution radar feeds do not go dark in a way that would indicate an attack. Instead, they begin a terminal cycle of packet loss. The radar screens flicker, stutter, and eventually display a rhythmic connection lost error. The Iranian technicians, conditioned to expect hardware failure or software bugs rather than seabed sabotage, lose 20 minutes attempting to reboot local routers and bypass internal firewalls. They are looking for a digital ghost in their code, unaware that the problem is a physical crush in the mud 60 meters below. To close the loop of isolation, the U.S. Navy deploys its final electromagnetic layer. 2 EA-18G Growlers, loitering just outside Iranian territorial airspace, activate their AN/ALQ-99 jamming pods. They flood the HF and VHF spectrums with high-wattage interference, targeting the island's backup radio frequencies. The result is a total C4ISR blackout. The multi-billion-dollar missile fortress on Abu Musa Island is now a blind giant. It possesses the kinetic energy to sink a fleet, but it no longer possesses the light to see it. Moments later, the U.S. Carrier Strike Group glides through the Strait of Hormuz, silhouettes passing through a doorway that has been propped open by the invisible pressure of a single hydraulic claw. The math is finalized. The giant has been lobotomized. The U.S. Navy didn't break the enemy's sword. They simply deleted their ability to see the battlefield. If you want to continue following the strategic strikes of Operation Epic Fury, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Goodbye.